So hello people, welcome to Shifting Gears and I am riding the all new KTM 250 Adventure. अब इस मोटरसाइकिल की कीमत शुरू होती है फ्रॉम ₹2,48,000 एक्स शोरूम. अगर आप KTM की 390 एडवेंचर खरीदना चाहते हो, उस बाइक की कीमत शुरू होती है फ्रॉम ₹3,04,000 एक्स शोरूम. अब उस प्राइस डिफरेंस के लिए आपको KTM के 390 एडवेंचर में काफी सारे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक फीचर्स मिल जाते हैं एंड ऑफ कोर्स यू गेट मोर पावर एंड मोर इंजन कैपेसिटी. बट दिस द KTM 250 एडवेंचर इज द ब्रांड्स मोस्ट अफोर्डेबल एडवेंचर मोटरसाइकिल. और अगर आपको एक स्क्रैम्बलर स्टाइल मोटरसाइकिल चाहिए विद दिस 250cc इंजन, आप हस्कवर्ना की स्वर्थ विलन भी खरीद सकते हो, which is noticeably cheaper than this particular motorcycle. अब इस वीडियो में हम बात करने वाले हैं about the highway riding performance of this KTM 250 Adventure. अगर आप ये बाइक लेके टूरिंग करना चाहते हो, is this bike going to be sufficient enough for your riding requirements? अब सबसे पहले तो स्पेसिफिकेशंस की बात कर लेते हैं. ये जो KTM की 250 Adventure है, इसके साथ आपको एक 248.8cc सिंगल सिलेंडर लिक्विड कूल्ड 4-स्ट्रोक मोटर मिल रहा है with fuel injection of course, and this motor produces 30 PS of power and 24 Newton meters of torque. 177 kg का इस बाइक का कर्व वेट है which is similar to the KTM 390 Adventure. So off the line, if you drag race with the 250 Adventure and with the 390 Adventure, the 390 is going to just fly off the start because it weighs the same and it has a lot more power. So that is a disclaimer if you are parked at a signal, if you are starting from a signal and you want to sprint hard with a 390 ADV. अब इस इंजन के साथ आपको एक 6-speed gearbox दिया गया है. The gearbox comes with a slipper assist clutch. A big shout out to KTM India for bringing slipper clutch to the mass market. Of course these are premium motorcycles, but at least that feature is seen on a lot more motorcycles now in the Indian motorcycling industry, and the slipper clutch is very useful. But now let's talk about the crucial bits first. इस KTM के 250 एडवेंचर के साथ जो आपको फुल डिजिटल स्पीडोमीटर क्लस्टर दिया गया है, इट इज डिफरेंट टू व्हाट द KTM 390 एडवेंचर गेट्स. यहाँ पे आपको कलर डिस्प्ले नहीं मिल रहा है. यू हैव अ ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट डिस्प्ले, but it is very easy to read and you get all the information that you need and all the information that you also see on the KTM 390 Adventure. Of course this doesn't get Bluetooth connectivity और इसमें आपको टर्न बाय टर्न नेविगेशन भी नहीं मिलता है, and since there is no Bluetooth, आपको यहाँ पे कॉल नोटिफिकेशंस भी देखने नहीं मिलेंगे. But you have your range displayed, you have your average fuel economy, you have your average speed, you have a gear position indicator, you have 2 trip meters, you have an odometer, you have a clock, you have a digital tachometer, you have a digital speed readout, and everything is very easy to read. अब इस बाइक के साथ आपको कंट्रोल स्विचेस स्विच गियर पे नहीं दिए गए हैं टू टॉगल बिटवीन द स्क्रीन्स एंड द डिस्प्ले दैट यू गेट ओवर देयर. आपको स्क्रीन पे ही 2 बटन्स दिए गए हैं और उसका ही आपको इस्तेमाल करना है to switch between the data that you want to consume while you are riding, and those buttons are also very easy to reach and very easy to access. The next point is the headlamp. अब इस बाइक के साथ आपको एक LED DRL तो मिल रही है, but you do not get full LED headlamps. Now I think that is a big miss क्योंकि KTM के 250 Duke में आपको full LED headlamps मिल रहे हैं. So I don't know why this step motherly treatment to the 250 Adventure. This bike should also have received that headlamp. Nevertheless, जो हेडलैम्प इसके साथ आपको दिया गया है विद द स्टैंडर्ड हैलोजन बल्ब, द येलो बल्ब, द थ्रो इज क्वाइट नाइस. मैंने इस बाइक को रात को भी चलाया है एंड यू गेट अ वेरी गुड स्ट्रेट लाइन थ्रो जब आप हाई बीम का भी इस्तेमाल करते हो. सो इफ यू आर गोइंग आउट ऑन अ हाईवे राइड, इट विल नॉट बी इनएफिशिएंट, इट विल नॉट बी इनसफिशिएंट. ऑफ कोर्स अगर आपको और विजिबिलिटी की जरूरत है, आप एडिशनल ऑक्सिलरी लाइट्स जो है वो यकीनन इस बाइक पे फिट कर पाओगे. But the headlamp by default is not bad at all. Apart from that, आप देख सकते हो बाकी सारी चीजें are similar to the KTM 390 Adventure. You get the same knuckle guards which do a good job of protecting you from wind blast as well, keeping your hands covered from the cold wind blast. And you have this small clear front windscreen which is adjustable. 2 adjustment points आपको मिल जाते हैं. This is at the highest point right now It does a decent job of protecting you from wind blast. But of course, अगर आप थोड़े ऊंचे हो, if you are on the taller side and if you are riding over 90 to 100 kilometers per hour, this is not really going to be all that useful. आप एक optional accessory windscreen जरूर खरीद सकते हो, which will give you better wind protection. The next point that I want to talk about is the gearbox. इस बाइक के साथ भी आपको एक 6-speed gearbox मिल रहा है and it is super slick compared to the KTM 390 Adventure. इसका gearbox जो है आपको ज्यादा smooth लगने वाला है and it is not at all clunky. जब आप gear shifts करते हो on the 390 Adventure and even on the KTM 390 Duke, the gearbox does, give out that clunky sound. Here, the gear shifts are very nice, they are very smooth, they are very precise, so you will like that. और जब आप ये बाइक तेज चला रहे हो and you want to drop gears all of a sudden, of course you have the slipper assist clutch और उसकी वजह से आपको rear wheel hopping जो है वो महसूस नहीं होगी and hence you can have a tighter line into corners if at all you are riding hard. And since you are getting a slipper assist clutch, आपको clutch action जो है इस बाइक की वो भी काफी light लगने वाली है. So riding it in traffic, if you are going to commute on this KTM 250 Adventure for your office runs, you will be quite happy. And right now, just notice this. I was encountering a speed breaker, but I am still in 4th gear. Now that is the speciality of the KTM 250 Adventure. And that is a downside of the KTM 390 engines. The 250cc engine, the KTM 250 block, is just so tractable and it is just so usable that this is the best engine for the Indian road conditions. Of course, the KTM 390 engines have a lot more power and they are very exciting to ride. But these are a lot more practical, these are a lot more reasonable, and these engines will keep you happy on the saddle. आपको ज़्यादा मेहनत नहीं करनी होगी. You will not have to play around with the gearbox too much. Now, if you are worried about vibrations from this KTM 250 Adventure, let me be honest. जब आप 90 की स्पीड अचीव कर लेते हो, 90 एंड बियॉन्ड आपको फुटपेक्स पे बज जो है वो महसूस होना शुरू हो जाएगा. There is no denying that fact. There is no vibration or buzz that will annoy you on the handlebar. लेकिन फुटपेक्स पे वो आपको यकीनन महसूस होगा. And that is even with me wearing touring boots. So you will feel the vibes. And if you are redlining it, तभी भी आपको vibrations जो हैं वो महसूस होने वाले हैं. So while trying to achieve your high speed runs, your top speed runs, vibrations is something that you will have to make peace with on this KTM 250 Adventure. But when I say that the engine is tractable, ऐसा नहीं है कि आप 6th gear में speed जो है वो completely drop कर सकते हो. You cannot ride close to 40 kilometers per hour in 6th gear. You will have to stay at a higher speed if you are in the higher gear. So that is something that you have to keep in mind. आप लगभग 3rd और 4th gear में play around कर सकते हो over speed breakers. Also because you can carry more speed over a speed breaker with this KTM 250 Adventure. So that is the tricky thing which you have to remember. But in 6th gear, you will have to be above 50 kilometers per hour at least for the engine to feel happy, so that when you open the gas, when you give the throttle input, the bike pulls nicely. अब अगर top speed की बात करें तो मेरी height है 5 feet 8 inches, my weight is 74 kgs, and with my body type, this KTM 250 Adventure, in my close to 400 kilometer journey, the bike has showed me 140 kilometers per hour on the speedometer cluster. Now if you are a lighter rider, maybe आप 145 achieve कर पाओगे from this bike. So that is the most reasonable top speed figure that I can tell you. And of course, if you find a longer stretch of tarmac, an open piece of road, and if you are light and if you are assisted with a slight downhill, maybe 150 on the speedometer is also going to be possible on this KTM 250 Adventure. The engine of this KTM 250 ADV gets liquid cooling, of course. It gets dual fan technology, and I have had no problems. जब मैं इस बाइक को trails पे भी चला रहा था, the engine temperature was just about half, and that shows that over these years KTM ने अपने heating issues पे काम किया है. They have worked on the cooling efficiency of their range of bikes, and it shows on this 250 Adventure as well. So just be assured that you can ride this bike for long distances at higher revs as well. और अगर आप इसे सिटी में कम्यूट करना चाहते हो तो भी ये बाइक आपके लिए कंफर्टेबल होने वाली है. ऑफ कोर्स अगर आप बहुत ज़्यादा देर तक बम्पर टू बम्पर ट्रैफिक में फंस जाते हो तभी आपको हीटिंग इश्यूज थोड़ी बहुत महसूस हो सकती है. Right now, check it out. I am in 6th gear at 78 or 77 kilometers per hour, and now opening the gas. Let's check it out how it accelerates. Keep looking at the speedometer cluster. There is good amount of roll on acceleration. अगर आपको overtaking maneuvers करने हैं, even in 6th gear, and if you want to do it a little more faster, of course you can downshift and then get better acceleration for overtaking. This KTM 250 Adventure is no slouch. It is a fast bike as per segment standards, and for the Indian road conditions this is also adequate. आपको इसमें से ज़्यादा कमी महसूस नहीं होगी until and unless you are a 390 owner. If you have a KTM 390 Duke and if you consider to buy this, you will definitely naturally feel the deficit of power, especially on the highway. Now 30 PS and 24 Newton meters is not a bad figure at all. लेकिन क्या आपको वो power deficit महसूस होगी out on the highway? Yes, but inside the city, absolutely not. You will be very very happy on this bike. Now in terms of your rider's triangle, you sit nice and upright, तो आपको आपके हाथों पे ज़्यादा load feel नहीं होने वाला है. You will be nice and relaxed on the saddle of this 250 Adventure, and even changing directions in this riding posture is very very easy, and the bike is very easy to manage as well. आप देख सकते हो, to change directions this bike will not trouble you at all. अगर आप luggage भी carry कर लेते हो, if you have 20 to 30 kgs as a saddle bag, this bike will still be very nimble and very agile. तो आप इसे ट्रैफिक में तो यकीनन काफ़ी आसानी से मूव कर पाओगे, but even out on the highway, managing a good line, managing the ideal line on the highways, on the road is going to be a easy task. अब इस KTM के 250 Adventure के साथ आपको MRF Mo Grip tires मिल रहे हैं. You do not get the Metzeler tires like you do on the KTM 390 Adventure, of course, for cost efficiency, to keep the price tag in check. These tires so far have done a decent job in my close to 400 kilometer ride review of this 250 Adventure. I have got decent grip on road and even on the trails, no problems at all. But the weather in Mumbai is a little tricky. 2-3 दिनों से बारिश हो रही है, and I thought that the wet road performance could have been slightly better. अब मुझे ये इसलिए भी लग रहा है because I own the KTM 390 Adventure, and I obviously have a reference point with that bike when I'm riding this bike. So those tires, of course, are much more superior and offer a lot more grip. These tires, however, will not scare you, but you have to keep in mind that the tires need to heat up quite well before you ride really hard and fast on a wet surface. Also, these are not completely road biased tires, so your contact patch with these knobby pattern is not the most ideal to be corner carving on this motorcycle. So keep that in mind. It is just a request and a very fine detail that I want to share with you, because people will go out and explore the unknown and ride the bike to the limit, because riding this bike to the limit is a lot more easier than riding the KTM 390 Adventure on the limit, because this bike has enough power for you to exploit all of it whenever you want. Check this out. I am again close to 80 to 85 kilometers per hour, opening the gas to overtake this bus, and already over 95 now, touching 100 kilometers per hour, and I am absolutely happy with this bike. अब brakes जो हैं, the hardware is similar to the KTM 390 Adventure. You get the same size of a disc brake on the front and at the back. But couple that with these MRF tires and compare that with the braking setup on the 390 Adventure with Metzeler tires, आपको इस बाइक पे braking distance जो है वो थोड़ा ज़्यादा लगने वाला है. So you will have to gauge the braking distance. In terms of stopping power and the feel and feedback from the brakes, it is quite decent, and I have had no problems putting the anchors down. It is just that I needed some time to understand the braking distance on this bike, because I am a 390 Adventure owner. Check this out. When I am encountering a speed breaker, I am only grabbing the front brake and just dropping the gears fast because I have slipper assist clutch. No problems at all, and the ABS is not very intrusive even when you grab that front brake a lot harder than you should. The brake feel and feedback from the rear brake lever is also acceptable. अब brake lever जो है इस बाइक पे adjustable नहीं है. Even the clutch lever is not adjustable. So that also is that cost cutting measure on this 250 Adventure. So that is also something that you will have to keep in mind. इस बाइक के साथ आपको एक power output दिया गया है under the speedometer cluster similar to the KTM 390 Adventure to charge your equipment, to charge your smartphone, या अगर आपको आपका हेलमेट कम्युनिकेशन सिस्टम चार्ज करना है ऑन द गो. एंड दिस इज ऑल्सो वेरी यूजफुल अगर आप एक इलेक्ट्रिक एयर प्रेशर सिस्टम कैरी करते हो अपने साथ टू फिल अप टायर प्रेशर इफ एट ऑल योर बाइक गेट्स पंक्चर्ड. सो दिस इज अ वेरी यूजफुल फीचर ऑन दोज लॉन्ग हाईवे राइड्स अगर आप इस बाइक को लेके टूरिंग करना चाहते हो. नाउ इफ यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट टूरिंग, लेट मी टॉक अबाउट द सीट कंफर्ट. The seat is similar in design, similar in shape to the KTM 390 Adventure. It is nice and soft. I have had no problems throughout my journey. सीट पे आपको काफ़ी जगह मिल जाती है, तो अगर आप पतले हो, अगर आप थोड़े on the heavier side हो on the weighing scale, you will have no problems accommodating yourself on this bike. And the seat base is also wide enough to keep you happy. Unlike the Royal Enfield Interceptor, जिसपे सीट जो है वो काफ़ी नैरो है, तो उस पे आपके बॉटम को थोड़ी तकलीफ ज़रूर हो जाती है. सो दिस डेफिनेटली इज़ अ वेरी गुड टूरर. नाउ द सीट हाइट इज़ नॉट अ बिग ऑफ अ प्रॉब्लम फॉर मी. आई एम 5 feet 8 inches. जैसे कि मैंने बताया 855 millimeters की सीट हाइट है इस बाइक के साथ. एंड आई कैन हैव 1 feet flat on the ground at times. And if I want to have both my feet, I am tiptoeing, but it is not an uncomfortable tiptoe. I can have the bike in my control even with the weight of a pillion. So this bike is easily manageable for me. In terms of mileage, ये bike जो है, let us check it out. I have been riding it for a long time and it is showing me 35 kmpl of fuel efficiency. And right now the range that I can see is 380 kilometers. I have fuel 1 bar over half point. So 380 kilometers of riding range is fantastic on this 250 Adventure. KTM का claim है that this bike can do over 400 kilometers on a full tank of fuel. I am sure that if you are gentle with the throttle input, अगर आप 80 से 90 के स्पीड पे इस बाइक को लेके क्रूज करते हो out on the highway, you can easily get 500 kilometers out from this 14.5 liter fuel tank of the KTM 250 Adventure. So ladies and gentlemen, who should buy this KTM 250 Adventure? Let me sum it up for you. अगर आपको एक सिटी कम्यूटर मोटरसाइकिल चाहिए which has enough power in reserve जब आप हाईवे पे बाइक चलाते हो, this makes a strong case for itself. It has enough power to make overtaking maneuvers on the fast paced highways. आप लगभग 100 की क्रूजिंग स्पीड मेंटेन कर सकते हो. 115 kilometers per hour comes up close to 7000 RPM and it can do 140 plus on the highway. If you are a taller rider and if you want a comfortable motorcycle, again this bike makes a strong case for itself. अगर आपको एक ऐसी बाइक चाहिए जो इंडियन रोड कंडीशंस को काफ़ी अच्छे से मैनेज कर सके over the bad roads, over the nastiest of potholes, again this bike is a brilliant package. And check this out, when you go out on weekend rides, अगर आपको एक ऐसी बाइक चाहिए जो घाट रोड्स पे काफ़ी अच्छे से परफॉर्म कर सके, this KTM 250 Adventure is a fun little package. Not a little package because this bike is on the taller side and it will intimidate riders who are maybe 5 feet 5 inches in height. So that is something that you have to keep in mind. But just check it out. It is so happy to change directions. It is so nimble, it is so agile that you do not have to make any effort. Now when you are riding this KTM 250 Adventure out in the ghats, check it out. It is very easy to manage. It is very easy to have a tight line. The weight is very easy to manage. The throttle response is nice and crisp. तो आपका momentum जो है वो ज़्यादा ब्रेक नहीं होता है. And the brakes are offering me good amount of confidence, good amount of stopping power. The tires are also offering me fantastic grip. So the KTM 250 Adventure is a nice and fun package. So ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर आप एक एडवेंचर मोटरसाइकिल खरीद रहे हो, it is going to be completely boring out in the twisty roads. This will keep you, the enthusiast, happy on the saddle. और आपको इस चीज़ के साथ कोई भी तकलीफ नहीं होगी. This will be a very versatile motorcycle for you throughout your ownership cycle. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर आप ये बाइक खरीद लेते हो, very soon you will overgrow the motorcycle and you will start finding the bike to be insufficient for your riding needs. Right now, check it out. We are on the Mumbai-Pune Expressway, and when you want to ride fast, when you want to keep up with fast-paced cars out on the highway, there again, this bike is more than adequate. You can actually keep up more speed than a lot more four-wheelers out on the Indian streets. And because you are on a motorcycle, you can, find an easy gap. And even on the edges where the road might not really be all that great, the KTM 250 Adventure is capable enough to just ride over any kind of road. Of course, अगर आपको dirt दिखाई देती है, if you notice gravel, you have to slow down because this bike doesn't come with traction control. So keep that in mind and stay safe, ride safely. But on a long sweeping corner like I am going to encounter now, this bike is going to please you. So check this out. I can manage the inside line, and I have the throttle open, and this bike is holding on to the road very nicely. There is good grip from the tire, there is good confidence from the tires. So it is a good highway performer as well. आपको इस स्पीडोमीटर क्लस्टर पे थोड़ा बहुत रिफ्लेक्शन ज़रूर देखने मिलेगा. So if you are wearing a printed t-shirt or if you have a bright riding jacket, some amount of that reflection will be seen on that screen. So that is also a finer detail which you should keep in mind. So that's about it, guys. I think I have spoken a lot. मैंने आपको सभी चीज़ें बताई हैं about this KTM 250 Adventure. Let me know what you think about this bike. Let me know if you would consider buying this motorcycle, or if you would, spend a few extra bucks and bring home the KTM 390 Adventure, because that has a lot more to offer.